What is up, everybody? Dan Mortimer with eXp Realty of Las Vegas, here with another weekly market update for our Las Vegas and Henderson real estate markets. This is with data as of Monday, July 7th, 2025. We are not only through June, but we're through the first week of July, which is just crazy. 4th of July came and went. Hope everybody had a great, safe 4th. And we're able to spend some time with family, loved ones, enjoying maybe a pool, barbecue, fireworks, all that fun stuff that we usually do on the 4th of July. So hope everyone had a great and safe holiday. Let's go ahead and dive in to the numbers as to our real estate market for the last 7 days. We did see a little bit of a change in some of the activity, but a lot of things kind of stayed in line despite the holiday. With it being on Friday, sometimes if it's in the middle of the week, it can really detour activity and we see the numbers fluctuate quite a bit, but didn't really see that quite as much this past week. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'll give you some of my thoughts as well. In the last 7 days, we had 989 new listings that hit the market. We also had 159 homes that came back on the market. Getting into the price decreases, this is something that we've seen pretty high, pretty strong for a long time. We only saw 984 homes with a price decrease this past week, which again, it's a lot, but when you compare it to what we saw the last couple of weeks, and last week in particular, it was well over 1,000. I believe it was around like 1,200 homes had a price decrease. So 984 came down a little bit. Sometimes when you're pricing a home and you're thinking strategically, you're thinking, well, not as many people are going to be looking around the 4th of July, so maybe we'll wait until after to drop the price and get the impact of that price reduction. So it wouldn't surprise me if next week we see that number go back up to kind of where it was before. But 984 price decreases of some kind, could be $1, could be $100,000, anywhere in between. A little bit lower than I was expecting, and I think that's probably part of the reason why, is just you had people that decided to wait. Either they did it well before the holiday or they're doing it after the holiday. So curious to see what that looks like next week. Getting into the under contracts, we had 356 homes go into under contract show status and another 431 go into under contract no show status. So in total, you're talking about 787 homes going under contract compared to 989 new listings. So the under contracts have held pretty steady, if not even gone up a little bit the last couple of weeks. I believe 2 weeks ago, we were under 700 homes going under contract. There was a huge gap between new listings and under contract listings. So that gap is slowly narrowing. Part of that is, again, new listings a little bit lower than expected. Less than 1,000 new listings in the last 7 days. And again, curious to see what things look like next week, if it's the beginning of a trend or if it's just something that's a blip on the radar because of the holiday last week. Again, just kind of depends. Getting into the solds, we had 677 homes that were sold in the last 7 days and another 69 homes that were put into coming soon status, meaning they'll be on the market in the next 30 days or less, usually quite a bit less. Getting into the active listings, as of now, we have 7,498 single-family homes active on the market, 1,562 condos, and another 1,150 townhomes. So again, inventory is continuing to climb. We may see, it wouldn't surprise me if we see the number of new listings pick up next week. I've mentioned it before, but one of the things that kind of gets lost and it's not reported in these numbers is usually around the 1st of every month, there are quite a few listings that expire. The listing agreement between the seller and their real estate agent that they're working with expires, property goes off the market, and in most cases, the sellers still want to sell, or the owners still want to sell that property, so they'll either sign a new contract with their agent or they'll hire another real estate agent to put the property back on the market. Sometimes we see some fluctuations with the number of new listings hitting the market because of that, but we really didn't see it the first week of July like we typically do. Usually there's a little bit of a spike in new listings, and again, it might be tied into the holiday. People wanting to, maybe their contract expired July 1st and they wanted to wait until this week to put it back on the market. So again, something to keep an eye on, but inventory continues to climb. I think the biggest thing that's been not necessarily a surprise to me, but we've been hearing about low buyer activity, not a lot of buyer activity, things being very slow. And that's still true. The number of days on market for the average listing has continued to climb steadily throughout the year. And in the middle of what should be our peak season, we haven't really had much of a peak. But our buyer activity has stayed pretty consistent. We haven't seen things trending downward. I think some of that has to do with the interest rates just very slowly, in a very minor way, but they continue to creep down just little by little. If that trend continues, it wouldn't surprise me if we see the buyer activity stay steady or even start to go up. Because again, we've talked about it for months and months. Buyers have been up against record high home prices and interest rates that they're not historic highs, but they are higher than a lot of buyers in this market have been used to for the last, 7-8 years. So it is definitely a factor. And if one or both of those start to give, which we are seeing kind of both give, a lot of sellers are reducing prices to be more competitive and the rates slowly creeping down, it wouldn't surprise me if we see buyer activity pick up. One thing to keep in mind is there are still tons and tons of people coming to Las Vegas every single year, especially from California and other markets. And so we are going to see, but we're seeing people continue to come into Las Vegas, but there's a ton of pent-up demand as well from people that are renting, maybe people that are in a home that's not comfortable for them, maybe a condo and it's family that's expanded, or they just need more space, they need to be closer to work, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of pent-up demand where once we start to see some of these things give on price and interest rates, we'll start to see that flood of buyer activity come back in. The question is, how long is it going to take? And what's kind of that breaking point? It's kind of an individual thing. For some buyers, it may be they just need a little bit of a lower interest rate. For some, it's, hey, getting something for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 less than they were originally expecting. Whatever that may be, it's just a matter of each individual buyer's situation. But we are definitely trending in that direction, which is a great sign for buyers. If you're a seller, that doesn't mean that we're all of a sudden getting into a flooded seller's market again. So don't think that you can overprice your home and get it sold in a timely manner or at all. You do still have to be very competitive, but something to keep in mind, something to keep an eye on as things progress through the rest of the summer. So I hope you guys got some value from this video. Be sure to subscribe if you like this content. You're also welcome to, I'll put a link in the description of this video, whether you're thinking about selling a home in 9 days, 90 days, anywhere in between, whether that's buying, selling, investing, getting in town, moving out of town, whatever that may be, feel free to reach out. This link gives you an opportunity to set up a meeting with me. We can do it over the phone, we can do it over Google Meet, we can meet in person if you prefer. It gives me a chance to get to know you a little bit better and vice versa, and see if we'd be a good fit to work together. I can share some of my insights on the market and see what I can do to help you out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this weekly update. I will see you at the next one.